I want to talk to you about the grooming gang scandal, which is massively in the news. But first, I want to talk about an earlier scandal. At the turn of the 20th century, the white slave traffic was controlled almost entirely by Jews. In the modern world, let's talk about the modern world before October 7th, 2023. In the modern world, Jews would never stop whining and wailing about how they're persecuted, their leaders and their organisations and their so-called anti-fascists. Jews wrote the race laws in this country, and largely in America and elsewhere, always in their favour. But it wasn't always like that. As I said, at one time the international white slave traffic was controlled almost entirely by Jews. And what was the reaction of the Jewish establishment? Well, to their credit, they fought against it, and in the end they succeeded in more or less abolishing it. Here are a few examples. Those were two reports decades apart. In 1982, Edward J. Bristow published a book, Prostitution and Prejudice, The Jewish Fight Against White Slavery. And on page 1 he quotes Arthur Morrow in a report of October 31st, 1903. He stated that Yiddish-speaking Jews were trafficking in Jewesses. And the quote is, "We fear, unfortunately, this horrible blot on the reputation of our race exists in most places of the world where there is the chance of these unscrupulous men and women making money by the sacrifice of young Jewish girls." And of course it wasn't just young Jewish girls. It was Aryan girls, if you like. And I say, to their credit, they stepped in, the Jewish establishment stepped in, and they suppressed it, or largely suppressed it. The question I'd like to ask you is, what are you going to do about this abomination, this grooming gang scandal, whatever you want to call it? The authorities in this country have been very slow to act, and they're paralysed by the extreme left and their incessant cries of racism and now Islamophobia. But what are you going to do about it? I suggest it's down to you. What does Sharia say about rape, especially about raping young girls? I'll leave you with a couple of examples.
A man who raped a girl when she was 13 years old has been sentenced to 12 years jail and 12 strokes of the cane. The 40-year-old had raped the girl at the back of a lorry after getting her 17-year-old boyfriend to invite her for drinks. He plied her with vodka and pounced when her boyfriend fell asleep. The prosecutor had called for a severe sentence, saying the man had been aware of the girl's youth because she was in school uniform. He had also degraded her by offering her $5 after the deed.
A factory technician was sentenced to 9 years jail and ordered to be given 3 strokes of the rotan at the Sessions Court in Ayakoro on Friday. Judge Muhammad Sabri Ismail meted out the sentence to the 40-year-old man after he pleaded guilty to a charge of having non-consensual unnatural sex with a 13-year-old schoolgirl.